I haven't recorded in so long that my mic is literally dusty. What's up, everyone? This is Talking with Burritos, the podcast that's giving you something to talk about when you need someone to talk to about movies and media entertainment. I am Jerry JJ Wayne Graham, and on this podcast episode, Liam Neeson and celebrity worshiping. Here's the skinny on Liam Neeson. He volunteered that information, which was downright just disrespectful. And he may not be a racist, or he may. However, what he said was insensitive, very insensitive to the history of Black people. And the guy may not be a horrible individual, but he volunteered this information. I can understand if it was prompted by a question regarding civil rights or violence against someone. Has he ever committed violence against another person? Has he ever felt hatred and rage? No. Well, I guess in a context, kind of. This interviewer, this woman, she maybe asked something along that, but she just asked Liam Neeson, where does he get his inspiration for these characters that he portrays? And if you aren't familiar with Liam Neeson, after Schindler's List, where he plays a very hard-nosed philanthropist, a caring individual during one of the worst times in history, during the Holocaust. Yeah, he's taken on these roles as someone who is a badass. He's a Charles Bronson. He's a revenge taker. You hurt his family, you take his daughter, he's going to come after you, and he's going to enact some revenge. Maybe kill you, harm you, break your leg. But he's going to get what he needs, either information or his family member back. You know this character. He's in close pursuit, and in this movie, his son is killed, and he wants information. He wants to know why. He's vengeful. So this interviewer, during this press meeting with this interviewer, he just kind of volunteers this information. She asks him, hey, how do you get inspired by this? How do you get in character? And he goes back into this, I don't know if you guys know it, but he goes into this story about how, 40 years ago, and you have to think Liam Neeson is almost damn near 60, so maybe his early 20s. He says one of his friends revealed to him that she was raped. And so he says, by whom? But in this interview, and she tells him whom, but he actually says, oh yeah, and I asked her, what race was he? Okay, so that mattered, I guess. Or maybe she volunteered it, said I was raped by a Black man. So he gets this information. He says he patrolled the streets for like a week with a bat, just waiting for somebody to ask him a question. Any Black man, in quote, black bastards, and then he will beat him. He basically insinuating that he was just going to go to town on this guy and most likely possibly kill a person. Now, very insensitive thing to say in this context because it wasn't warranted. Nobody asked you this question or to answer the question in this way. Just how do you get your motivation? Well, I go to a time where I felt very vengeful, I felt a lot of rage, prompting the interviewer. So when was this time? Would you like to divulge this information? Like, when was this? What kind of incident would make you feel this way? Well, back in my younger days, I would have been like older, younger, and I was vengeful. I was mad. My friend, she was raped. I don't know. That's not Liam Neeson, but he would answer the question. My friend was raped, and it's a very stupid thing that I did when I was younger. And, I just felt very angry at that point. Yes, something like that, where he had some sympathy in that matter. And maybe going into that, I felt very bad about how I felt. There's no way I thought either. I'm not a racist person, but at that moment I just felt angry and I just went out there. And so then that opens up a more lively discussion instead of this woman just basically going, or jotting down notes, jotting, looking over at another person, maybe an interviewer in the room, like, are you getting this? This dude just giving us all the beans. And it is not like, and it's basically like, know your audience, or that age-old saying when your mom says it, or your dad, or somebody older in your life says, if you don't have anything nice to say, then don't say anything at all. Or if you know if you know you're sitting in front of someone who is a reporter, maybe you shouldn't say certain things out of context because they'll run away with it. And yes, this woman, this reporter could have said, I'm not going to run this because this would be very salacious. This could harm him in some way. Oh no, we're going to print that. No, they're not going to think that. They're going to print it. Why? Because it's food for fodder. That is salacious. That is a headline. And so, yeah, dude might not be racist. Came out and said he's not racist. Had to go on like, Good Morning America with Robin. And it's like, okay, man. I don't know. It's just that it totally didn't need to happen. Totally didn't need to happen. If you would have just thought about your answer a little bit more thoroughly and how you might answer it. And it just goes to tell you that some people just like to hear themselves talk. And if I was Liam Neeson too, I would like to hear myself talk. He has like this deep voice and he's kind of cool with it. His delivery is rather cool. But so my thing is, does this man, or should this man and his actions take away from his art? This was an interview for a movie he has, Cold Pursuit, basically. Cold Pursuit. And what I would like to, Cold Pursuit, or was it Taken on Ice? I took that from Kid Fury from the Read podcast, because he just tripped me out when he said it. Because basically that's what it is. He says it's Taken 3 is Taken on Ice. Like, that is actually pretty good. When nobody was taken, he was murdered. Should this take away from this man's art? If you put something out there like this, if it becomes salacious, if it, a headline where it demeans you in a certain way, or it vilifies you, then there's an outcry to boycott whatever you're involved in or reject you in some way. And so he has this movie. So the cultural reaction now is to boycott, not go and see a movie. And if you think about Liam Neeson movies such as that, he hasn't really had a hit. These are like mediocre movies that come out. They're just meant to keep the wheel turning. They don't really make a dent in the box office. They're there for entertainment. They're entertaining movies. That's the thing. It's not to say that this movie would have done well or it would have done worse than it did in the box office. But is it right for us to? I don't know. I guess it is. It is right. But I just want to talk about the sentiment of going against another person's art, because it wasn't just Liam Neeson involved in this movie. It was other people, other actors, grips, lighting guys, the director, the writer, the producers. All these people were involved in this art that they produced, which was demeaned in some way due to this actor's actions. And so then everyone else suffers from that. I wouldn't have to say suffer so much, but if you have a piece of art out there and it's on display, but no one wants to see it because, hey, this one guy had to open up his damn mouth about something that was totally insignificant to the conversation he was having, then it's a little depressing for them. So I look out to them, and and it goes the same thing with, you think about Cosby, you think about another person, Roseanne, and all these other people. Yes, a lot of people suffer, but for the Roseanne thing, at least the show kept going. That's great. But sometimes these things just don't happen. that stops production because of this individual. So if he wouldn't open up his damn mouth, then a lot of these people, their art will not be seen by more people. Now, this movie wasn't going to be a box office hit. It came out at a time where against the Prodigy or some other What a Man Wants, maybe a week before that. So maybe it wasn't going to be a box office hit, but it still kind of sucks for those people that this person had to open up his damn mouth and get himself in trouble, which for some odd reason reflects upon the entire movie. Now, I did not watch the movie. Okay. I didn't want to say that it was a boycott of the movie. Kind of was, but I know better than that. I like Liam Neeson. So am I going to forget all the other movies I saw with Liam Neeson in those that I enjoyed? Am I not going to watch Men in Black International when that comes out in August with Tessa Thompson, who I adore, and shit, also Chris Hemsworth as well, that we all adore, who we all adore? Nah, maybe not. So, is it just a moment, or are they going to try to boycott that? I know there was a petition out there, or I don't even want to say petition. Well, some people put out there that Twitter, somebody tweeted or put that it was a tweet thread maybe somewhere, I don't know, that they should edit him out of MIB, Men in Black. Do you have to go that far? It all depends on how they feel and how you feel as a moviegoer. If you don't like this guy and what he said, you don't take his response to it as being truthful, then you have your right not to go to the movie theater. You have your right not to enjoy this man's art or the art of other people. He's just like one factor. He's just involved in it, but he's not the sole interest, and yeah, in Cold Pursuit, he's that guy. But what about like Schindler's List? Am I not going to watch Schindler's List ever again? I probably won't, because, all depends on if I have like an opinion piece to write or something like that, or if I'm in film school, history, because it's a great film, but it was other people, Ray Fiennes and all these other people in that movie other than him. So, can we look past that? This one individual and what he says. And yeah, that was horrible. And you know why? It was insensitive. And the thing is that it's just an insensitive thing that he said. And plus, yes, it wasn't warranted. Think about it. Think about the history of people, of slaves, of people growing up in Black America, people of color growing up in Europe, Pakistan immigrants who are frequently being racially prejudiced against in Europe. People from African nations, all these, hell, the Japanese or the Asian people who migrated over from to the West Coast area, Black America. Okay, think about it in one instance. Emmett Till, kid from Chicago, goes down to move in with his uncle or aunt, I believe. He goes down there to live with his uncle and aunt. And it's more inclusive. It's more integrated up in Chicago at that time. And what does he do? They say, quote unquote, that he groped a woman's butt. This woman was white. She goes home. She tells her husband. Husband gets mad. Why? Because black man gropes his wife. They take him from his home, and then take him out there into the woods and violently torture, beat, and kill this man. So you think about that. That's one, that murderous rage. And that's just one instance. This happened over and over in time, where someone has been accused of saying one thing to another person among that, or touching a white person in that way, and then being lynched for it. So that's why it's insensitive. If you don't know that, like, just look back in history, and that's just one instance of it. And that only comes to mind because, I watched this movie called Emmett or Till. I don't know. Tillman? Emmett? I don't know what it was. It was like last year. It was part of a shorts program for the Oscars. But yeah, that was a short movie. It had actually Jasmine Guy in it. So it's all about just the insensitive nature of it. But do you have to, and yes, our culture says, hey, this person is wrong. We won't buy and or subjugate ourselves your product. Okay, Gucci and Prada, and even some shoes Katy Perry had tried to put out like 2 years ago. They all had this racist image of blackface, of people in blackface during like the Jim Crow era. You have all these representations of black people with, dark faces, big lips. They would color their faces black and put these big red lips on them. And now you have Prada, Gucci, and Katy Perry. It's just a lot of other. There's been other instances as well where people are representing this image in their art. But that is blatant. But that is the same though. But this is a company rather than a man or a woman. This is a company which involves a lot of people, a lot of decisions. So decisions being made, this design meeting, and say, hey, I want to go ahead with that. And no one in the room raises their hands and says, hey, this doesn't look right at all. But we are in the age of media of culture where, bad publicity is good publicity. How do we get here in 2019 to be as insensitive as we were held 20, 30, 40 years ago? So boycotting the movie and not wanting to watch it and saying, hey, this guy sucks. Liam Neeson sucks. I don't want to go see his movies. Knowing damn well that you've all. So how are you going to erase your memory of liking Liam Neeson and freaking Love Actually? Okay, people, that's one. That's one right? Love Actually. So how do you take that and say, ugh? Can you not now watch that movie, that ensemble cast, and say, I don't like Liam Neeson, a racist bastard. But that was a good movie. His character isn't racist, but he is. But did I go watch it? For some odd reason, no, I did not. Okay. I wanted to. I was going to watch it. I thought about it, but then that stuff came out. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to watch this shit. It's not that, because I held judgment. I held back judgment. Like, okay, well, I'm going to wait and get the facts. And so I watched the interview, and I read up some articles on it. And then I watched a Good Morning America interview, and I'm like, oh, you're just stupid. I'm not going to watch your movie, not because I think that you're racist. No, I just think you're stupid. That's what this is. I just think you're a dumbass. And no, maybe I shouldn't watch a movie because I know it sucks. I pretty much know what's in it. I know what I'm going to get when I get in that movie theater, but I wanted to just watch it for the sheer entertainment. However, knowing that you're that stupid to not know that nowadays you cannot say things like that, or that you should not say things like that, then no, I'm not going to watch this movie based on that fact. Will I ever watch it? Most likely not, because I don't think I've ever watched like a Liam Neeson movie twice, except for Love Actually, because everyone loves Love Actually. You just can't get enough of it. I'm sorry. This is a great movie. You watch it during the holidays. And I will still watch that. And I will watch MIB because it has Tessa Thompson. I can't not watch that. She's my entertainer of the year in 2018. Because I love Tessa Thompson. There's something there, and there's a breaking out point that will happen soon for this young lady. She'll have that one role that is going to catapult her to just stardom, in my belief. I hope. I really do hope, because she's awesome. She's very, she was even in Westworld, So, great actress. Love Tessa Thompson. Liam Neeson is just Liam Neeson. He's just dumbass. And just watch your tongue, man. And know that it's the media. And if you want to open up a dialogue about something, open up the dialogue. Don't just go on a rant and not have another person answer you questions, because then it's just your word. It's not them flipping the word. It's not saying like, well, they took it all out of context. No, they did not take it out of context because you gave them all the context. So just be careful what you say, people, and know what you say. And if you want a dialogue, open up a dialogue and talk about it rather than just talk to hear yourself talk. And I say this. And the reason why I wanted to talk about Liam Neeson and this whole celebrity worship, hero worship thing or whatever is that I felt the same way about Clint Eastwood. About, I would say about 2-3 years ago. It was when, it would have to be 3 years ago, 3 to 4 years ago, when he was making, Gran Torino and all these different other movies. But he made some statements to the media, and he made some references to Obama that I didn't like. And I was like, boy, Clint Eastwood. I don't like Clint Eastwood. I hate everything. I was just like, man, this old man talking all kinds of crap. He talking out his butt. And I was like, screw Clint Eastwood. I really was. I was like really down. Like, oh man, fallen hero. I love Clint Eastwood stuff. I love his directing. I like his writing. I like things that he does. And I hate him right now because he said this. And it took me back. And I had to think about it. I'm like, you're an idiot. So this is another thing about him. Like we as, let's say, consumers of media, TV, music, television, whatever it is, YouTube, internet. Why would I get so upset over this? I don't know him. I don't know this man. He has his own way of thinking. He has his own political ideas. I know this man by his art, the art he creates. I don't know Clint Eastwood. I can watch all the damn interviews in the world, from Outlaw Josie Wells to this one, to Gran Torino, to The Mule. But I do not know Clint Eastwood. I could just say that, oh, well, I watched all these interviews and maybe I do know Clint Eastwood. I know exactly what he thinks. You don't freaking know Clint Eastwood. I don't know Clint Eastwood. So that shit kind of pissed. So that was another instance for me. I was thought, that's weird. Because then The Mule came out this year, right? I didn't think a damn thing about what he said before about my anger towards Clint Eastwood. Hell, I didn't even think that same way. I thought a little bit about that. I thought a little bit that way when he came out with that movie, 1517 to Paris. That was a year ago. Now, okay, that was like the same year. This is the same year, but early 2018, like February. And The Mule came out in December. And I did not think a thing about Clint Eastwood and his political tidings and what I thought about him. I just thought I wanted to see this movie, Clint Eastwood, because I like him as a director. I wanted to see what he has up next, see what he can accomplish. Why? Because I watched 15-17 to Paris and I thought, what the fudge? I thought, what the what? What is this? What is this piece of crap that's putting out there? Now, I'll tell you, people. Okay, if you haven't seen 15-17 to Paris, this is true tale, a true story about the three military men who are on a EuroTrip, and they stopped a train hijack on the 15-17 to Paris. These three individuals, U.S. soldiers, or former, I think they're U.S. soldiers. I think they were actually enlisted at the time, stopped this would-be hijacker, killer, from hijacking this train. I think there were like a couple of them. And so their bravery just extends to no other bounds. But this movie was made for a lifetime. It was so dang cheesy. So cheesy. It was like, and you watch it and you don't think, Clint Eastwood made this? Really? You don't think that. And I know he wanted to try something. He was using the real actors. I mean, the real people from the actual incident. A great tribute. He wanted to tell this tale. But he did not tell it in a Clint Eastwood way because it was very cheesy. Now, but there was a story there, I thought, that he could have done the Clint Eastwood way. Could have done about this soldier. And I'm not going to lessen the impact that the others made or their role in this incident, Alec and this Anthony Sadler. I don't want to lessen their role part in this story, but Spencer Stone, there was a story there. There was an underdog story about this kid growing up in a single, being raised by his mother and, not knowing his self-worth. And so he goes into the military to try to find more self-worth, doesn't find it there, doesn't know his purpose. But then he goes on his trip and this thing happened and it all kind of concludes in that one moment. All of a sudden brings to light that he did have a purpose in this life. But I wanted that examined a little bit more. Even in Gran Torino or $1 Million Baby, where you just see this guy being beat down and then brought back up. This soldier, that you could have done like, a G.I. Jane or a, what you call that movie, a Jarhead type film. You want to follow this one character. It's not that the other characters are inconsequential because they're his friends. One friend moves away, the other friend moves away as well, like when he's younger. And so he's left alone. He's with his mother. And then he goes to the military. He doesn't really he doesn't really find his footing because he wants to be this one thing. He wants to be more tactical or a specialist in this one area, but they say he doesn't have the qualifications to meet those aspects. And so it's in this film that he's trying his hardest to find his path. He walks one path and it gets averted to another path and then to another path until he's on this trip. And then it all comes to, bam, a crossroads. This is where my life has led me. I really thought that there was a Clint Eastwood movie there, but it wasn't this film. Sure, if he was just, and granted, if he was just trying to tell the tale of these brave individuals taking on these terrorists on that train and disarming them and saving many lives, then that was cool. But it's more so made by Lifetime, and it probably would have went to Lifetime if Clint Eastwood's name wasn't attached. I did watch that movie, and that was after the comments he said about Obama, leading up into that. I watched that movie too because I was interested. Why? Because it had Clint Eastwood's name on it. Not that I know Clint Eastwood, no, but I like his art. I didn't like this movie, but I liked his art. I liked The Mule. The Mule was great. I loved because that was vintage. That was Clint getting back to Clint and doing Clint's work. A little bit more dirty, rated R, a little hard nosed, but there was some truth behind it all and heart. Not that this other story wasn't, but I think it lacked that. I think he was rather tame with 1517 to Paris. That's just going into this. And that was basically my introspection is for this episode was, we take on all these things with celebrities, directors, musicians, and all of them artists. And 1 minute we love them, and then the next minute, boom, we hate them. But is it a hate that lives on forever? Like Clint Eastwood didn't say anything real bad about Obama. He just doesn't like his policies. He just didn't like his policies, and that was his opinion. I have my own opinions that people might not like. And I know people that I don't like their policies as well. I don't like the way they think about about certain policies, or I don't like their affiliation with certain things. But I can still respect them as people because they're people. Now, if they were trying to beat me over the head with all of their jargon or with their beliefs or with their opinions and without the patience to listen, then yeah, screw you. I can listen to you. I can listen to what you say. Be open to a debate. That's what I'm saying. So just be open to a debate if that's it. We put these people on pedestals. That's the problem. We put all these people on pedestals. And I'll tell you another story that I felt once. Again, it's like when I was like, I love Jordan. Love Michael Jordan when I was growing up. Loved Michael Jordan. And it wasn't until I got older and I started hearing things. I started reading things. I'm like, oh, wow. I started seeing clips of things. Internet, man, is the bane of our existence. It's like maybe he's not that great a guy. And one instance I had to say, and they say, and it's like I had this book. It's this Michael Jordan book. And in it, it's like, it goes through Michael Jordan's life. And then it has him and all his kids and his beautiful family and all this cool stuff. And I love that book. And I love seeing him in that thing because to me, that made him a man. That made him a good man. And then later on, you read some things. You start, a lot of things come out. He maybe quote unquote, was unfaithful to his wife, and they didn't have, it wasn't this picture. He wasn't this picture perfect man that I envisioned him to be. And I was like, whoa, this was my childhood hero. People could do no wrong. But as I got older and I have a newest perspective, it's like, wow, he's just a guy. And that's how it is with me nowadays. This is just a man. That person's just a man. Neeson, just a man. Clint Eastwood, just a man. All these people, Obama, just a man. They make mistakes. Sometimes stupid ass mistakes. And I am. Jerry Graham, just a man. My wife, just a woman. We're all just people. My kids, just kids. We're all just people. And no matter how exalted you are within a certain demographic, somebody puts you on a pedestal because you won like 10,000 championships, Brady, or you want Miss America. You still just a person, but yet those people are allowed to make mistakes, and so it's us on the outside looking in saying, oh, this person is otherworldly because they're awesome. We go on social media. It's like, oh, because this person posts a lot and it looks like their lives are like, this is so social media. It's like nowadays, this just really feeds into that fur. It feeds into our imaginations of a better life, of the life that we aspire to, because these people are so everywhere. And I feel that way too. So I'm like, oh, I want to make a video, but damn, my videos won't look like that. Or I have this issue now. It's like, oh, my house doesn't look like their house. It's all roomy, white walls, and everything's cool looking. They have good stuff, good background. And it's like, I don't want to film anything. So I sit there and nitpick and say, what can I make look better? Well, it's all about just you, your perspective, where you are. These people might, a lot of these people who put out a lot of content, and this is their job. That's their job. That's what they do. But you know what? Just people. Their opinions are their opinions, but they're just people. Your famous gamers, video gamers, just people. So I don't know. That's just me and like us putting these people on pedestals. Like if we just said that's just an individual, Liam Neeson's just a person. He gonna fuck up. He's gonna make mistakes, and we just leave it at that. Then maybe we won't be so damn disappointed when they make mistakes. I don't know. Think about it. Okay, we're going to talk about, and that, so 15 and 17 to Paris. That was based on an event that happened in 2015. When is a good amount of time to start applying the Hollywood aesthetic to real life events? Really dramatizing an event like that. How much span of time should actually go on between that? So let's take Patriots Day, for example. Patriots Day was the bombing of the Boston Marathon. Okay. That took place in 2013? There was a movie about it in 2015 starring Mark Wahlberg. No, actually 2017. About four years in between. And for 15 to Paris, there was 2 years difference. It happened in 2015, came out in 2017. Like, I remember there just watching this film thinking, or when it came out, thinking to myself, like, wow, do we just harp on every story now that we have? I know that was a great story. That was a great tale of a city responding to a tragedy. But if you watch this movie, that's not what Clint Eastwood did with 15, 17 to Paris. It's like he wanted to reenact everything that happened to these individuals during that time, which was only about maybe 45 minutes worth of movie. Maybe. So, but Patriots Day come out. It's like, man, one of the great things about Patriots Day is like you have J.K. Simmons shooting from the hip when it all came down because they were searching after the two suspects. And then it all came down to this car chase. And then they barricaded themselves. And then they all like kind of ended in a shootout with these individuals, and then a manhunt for the kid, for the brother of the dead suspect. So you have J.K. Simmons shooting from the hip, and it just became this kind of almost Heat style shootout in the streets of Boston, which we don't know what exactly happened. Well, they do. They have, but yet this one seemed more like a dramatization rather than Peter Berg's style was attached to this movie, and you understood that this was Peter Berg film. If you know his movies, not really necessarily taken away from the impact that it had on the city and the great things and the great people who helped during this tragedy, but just to make it Hollywood. Sometimes you just got to make things Hollywood. If it's in Hollywood, if you make a movie, you got to Hollywood it up. You take any type of sequence, they Hollywood it up a lot. You got to put that Hollywood spin on it. You have to make it an event on the big screen. Not to say or demean or take anything away from the context of the story, the true story. But if you put it out there as a Hollywood movie, it's meant to go out there and entertain. That's what I felt about, 15, 17 affair. But it did make me go and watch EuroTrip again, which is awesome. So that's my watchable recommendation for this week. For this episode is EuroTrip. EuroTrip was just an awesome dang film, people. If you have not seen it, I would recommend you see it. And it's just about a guy who graduating from college. Just going to insert something here. He graduated from high school, not college. And he wants to go in search of his pen pal who lives in Germany. So he joins his friends. He's accompanied by his one best friend, and he joins other classmates who are on a Euro trip in Europe. So if you are familiar during that time with, road trip movies when Old School came out, and you have all these kind of like raunchy college humor films, Road Trip was one of the best ones. It has like Matt Damon as a punk rock singer with this stupid song called Scotty Doesn't Know. It has like everything that we don't have nowadays in comedies. We don't see these raunchy comedies, these type of comedies anymore. During that came out during that time with Road Trip and then this Euro Trip, and you had Old School and you had the Wedding Singer around it. Not the Wedding Singer, the Wedding Crashers around this time. You had those films, but we don't have that right now. Where are our funny comedies? Oh, well, the hilarious stuff. And this is just a stupid movie, but it was a cool movie about teen angst. But I want to know what a movie now would entail about teen angst. It was like just sitting around smoking jewels and playing Fortnite. What would it involve? It's a totally different world. And it'd be kind of cool to actually just see what they can do. But I recommend going back and seeing this movie. This was actually a damn good movie. I'll give it a 4 out of 5, if anything, because it has it's very stupid situations that they put these individuals into. And this guy started making out with his twin sister, who is Michelle Trachtenberg. And if you remember, like back in the day, I would watch Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So she was Buffy's little sister, little Michelle Trachtenberg. So she was in this film, and this is kind of her delve into like adult type content movies. Instead of being her coming out of sorts, instead of being I'm just a little sweet girl on Buffy. And, she didn't do anything stupid in this movie, like real dumb, like take her top off and stuff. But, it's just her being in a different role, in a more adult role rather than, just Buffy's sister on Buffy on this TV show. So you got her and you got, just these silly kids. You got a robot fight. You have that one crazy English dude who plays an almost English movie and the soccer fame. Just a great film. Fred Armisen is in it as this perverted like Frenchman on a train. It's a great movie. I say go check that out. And now this is for my scoop du jour. Artists often obsess over their muses, but sometimes it's the art that transcends admiration. Not in the case of this movie. I was so upset by the rhetoric expressed by, Clint Eastwood in the past 2 years and lost admiration for a man I thought was a great visionary and storyteller. We invest in idols and characters we believe they are. Reality stars, actors, sports heroes, sometimes they just are not who we imagined them to be. They are who they are. They're people, just like you, just like me. So no matter how mundane they are in comparison to the most popular Twitch streamer or YouTube star, your story matters. How about we work on your story? If you want to tell your story, then go ahead, grab a camera, grab a mic, grab a something, and tell your story. We have the technology and other means to do it, so why not? Stupidest person in the world likely has a YouTube or blog account. So go out there and tell your story, because then maybe you can influence someone else. Or what? Open up a conversation with another person about something that you've had a thought about, something that you want to talk to people about. And I would say talk and listen. Don't just assume. I can't assume that Clint Eastwood's a horrible person. I don't know that guy. I can't assume Liam Neeson is a freaking racist. I don't know that guy. Because before now, I didn't know shit about Liam Neeson. I didn't know he had this incident way back then when he was 40. I knew I didn't go watch Cold Pursuit, and most likely it did have something to do with that. But I would be a hypocrite because I did, after saying that I don't like Clint Eastwood, I don't like what he just said about Obama, so I'm not going to watch his movies. And then what did I do? I watched his movies, even 1517 to Paris, which was not that great, but The Mule was awesome. That's Talking with Burritos. Thank you for listening, and that's a wrap but not a burrito.